are live. Thanks everybody for joining me, hopping on. Yeah, this is kind of an impromptu live stream, and what I'll call an emergency live stream. Obviously, not that dire, but over the weekend or last week, I was thinking about this over the weekend. But last week, I was hopping on some webinars, and just see what other folks are talking about. Always love to learn from others. I was checking out some other content. And they were talking about how do you reach new families, and obviously they were getting into Facebook ads, and Facebook ads, meta ads, I should say, are certainly a great way to reach new families. But when they started talking about advertising, they were getting into talking about targeting, right? Like how do you get your ads in front of the right families? And when they were getting into that section, they started talking about some very old strategies that used to work. They make sense logically, but in reality, very antiquated. They just don't work anymore. I almost felt like if anybody's seen that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio where he's sitting on the chair of the couch and he's pointing at the TV screen, that's kind of how I felt. I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. Because look, what you need to know is that meta advertising is nothing like it once was. The role of the advertiser, you, has changed. We have new tools, new features. We've got AI now. They're all coming to the forefront, and ultimately the strategies have evolved. And if you approach your advertising campaigns and targeting specifically like it's 2018 or 2019, you're going to struggle. You could end up wasting money. You might be wondering, hey, why are we getting the results that we should be getting? It could be because just how you're setting up your targeting. So in today's live stream, here's what we're going to talk about. We need to talk about how targeting used to work, because it's important for you to know how you used to be able to do it, so that you can understand what's working now and why things have changed. And then we'll certainly get into what's working now. And really, there's actually two main variables that you really need to know to set up a really strong advertising campaign. It actually makes it a little bit easier for anybody to run ads now. And I'm also going to share with you how I'd go about building a campaign today. I'm going to take you inside the AIMS platform. We have an advertising platform in there where you can set up an ad campaign in just a few minutes and have it running very quickly in an ideal way. If anybody's spent any time inside like the Meta Ads Manager, it can be very confusing. There's a lot of things to set up. We've actually removed all of that, so you can actually set up a campaign pretty quickly. I'll show you that at the end if anybody wants to hang around and look at, okay, what are those things that we need to do to actually set up a campaign now? All right, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share my screen with you. Bear with me 1 second while I get this up. Let's share this window. All right. So here we are. Let me get that stuff off the bottom of the screen here. Let's hide that. Okay. So how did targeting used to work? And like this is what I was hearing on the webinars. It was like, go to your Facebook insights, look at who your followers are, look at who's engaging with your campaigns, and that's who you should run ads to. So is it men versus women? And frankly, I've done enough of this where it's usually going to be like 70% women. What's the age? What's the age group? What are their interests? Private school is a very common interest that you would type in. You might want to put in income levels, right? That tends to make sense. Put in income levels. And then, we have what I would say is it's called, warm or hot targeting, you might want to say. And bear with me. And that, again, that used to be, it makes sense to do that. But what I'm saying today is you actually don't need to do those things. Because then back in the day, like I even would present on, hey, there's 3 buckets that you need to target. Your cold audience, how do we find new families? Then the warm audience, who has been on your website, who knows who actually who's familiar with your school, and hot targeting. If you want to get a family to like apply now, that would be considered hot targeting. So there was good reason to use all these approaches. And it was generally seen as best practices. And it made sense that you would actually want to build multiple campaigns and multiple ad sets targeting these different ad groups. It made sense. But what I'm here to say is we don't actually have to do that now. So if you find yourself that you're doing this where you're setting up your ads and you're like, oh, which should be that age group or what should be the interest? You don't have to do this anymore. Okay, so there's been an evolution of how Facebook Meta now does their targeting. So everybody probably remembers that Cambridge Analytica scandal. I know that that was back in like 2015, I think, but it didn't. The impact really wasn't felt until like we got 2018, 2019. We had iOS 14, right? They got rid of the third-party cookies. I don't know if anybody saw. I posted some content about this, but it's become known that by the end of 2024, Google is also going to be removing cookies, their third-party cookies. So, and that's a bigger deal than iOS because Google has like 65, 70% market share with web browsers. So by the end of 2024, you're going to see the removal of those cookies and being able to track your movements from website to website. And that will hurt your targeting, especially if you're doing general interest targeting. And accordingly, what Facebook has done is remove thousands of interests. It's impacted how things used to be. When Facebook, 4, 5, 6 years ago, you had so many different targeting options, and it remains a very powerful platform, but in a different way for your advertising. So in the meantime, Facebook is certainly not just sitting back, and I keep saying Facebook, I should be saying Meta. Meta, they're not just sitting back and kind of not doing anything. They're actually doing a lot. They're coming up with solutions to overcome some of these hurdles and what might seem as disadvantages. It's led to the focus of machine learning. Obviously, we're all so familiar with AI and ChatGPT. What many aren't aware of is that kind of behind the scenes, Meta is using AI a ton to make sure that your ad campaigns are performing the best that they can be. Because again, their interest is that you're using them for advertising, because if you're not advertising with them, they're not making any money. So they want to see your ads performing really well. So they're using AI to help in that. So what has happened is over time is you may have seen something like this when you go to your ads. They move towards broad targeting. And it began things like detailed targeting, advantage lookalike. You might have seen those terms. And this is what would essentially do the targeting for you. Essentially, the algorithm would make sure your ads are going in front of the right people. What's really interesting about this is like you could say, hey, I want my ads to go in front of anybody that is interested in private school. And you might start that way, but the algorithm is ultimately going to self-update itself to put your ads in front of the right people based upon who's clicking, who's converting, right? So the algorithm is automatically working behind the scenes to get your ads in front of the right people. The weird thing is that you never really knew what, like when you got a result or you got a click, was that from your targeting? Was it from Facebook's automatic targeting? So you just didn't know. And you still really don't know, but we have to start thinking about it as almost like having faith that this is what Google is doing, or this is what Meta is doing behind the scenes, right? So there's a move towards broad targeting. And again, I want you to think about this. It makes sense that we want to be as targeted as possible. Well, what I'm telling you, you have to think differently, and that we actually want to be really broad with our targeting now. That's probably one of the key differences. Broad versus you trying to be super targeted. It will get targeted based upon how Meta learns. So like, for example, when you go to run an ad today, there's a learning period for Meta. It takes about 7 days or so. That after that 7 days, they're learning who's clicking, who's converting. So you don't even need to, you might start with a certain level of targeting, but it's automatically going to transition away. And Meta's just going to put your ads in front of who they think the best people are anyway, right? So hopefully that starts to make sense. So now, and what you'll see now inside your ad platform is what they're rolling out is called Advantage Plus Audience. So again, you can provide targeting suggestions, but based upon your pixel, how people are interacting with your ads, your website, who's filling out forms, we call that conversion history. That's where they're getting all of their data to determine, who should we be running these ads to? And what you're going to start doing is building a history of an ideal audience. So all of that to say is that Meta now is actually doing a lot of the work for you that you used to have to worry about. So an argument can be made now that there's actually very little reason to even do things like look at figuring out all the different interests and doing like income targeting and lookalike audience, even if you use them, there's no reason we should use them the way we did before. So again, we don't need to obsess over figuring out interest, doing all that stuff. There's actually only two variables, which we're staring at here on the screen. There's really only two variables that matter. What is your campaign goal? So whenever you're starting a campaign, it's do you want a traffic goal? Do you want a conversion goal? So traffic is just like, hey, we want to build as much awareness as possible. Not necessarily focused on conversions, but we want to create get as many eyeballs as possible on the website. On the flip side, let's say you're really trying to get open house registrations. Then you really want to focus on conversions, right? So step one is once you pick your goal, Meta's automatically, their algorithm behind the scenes is automatically going to optimize your campaign for that goal. And then the second piece, which may be coming a close second in terms of importance, is your ad creative, right? So you could have the perfect campaign goal. If your ad creative is bad, it doesn't help you a whole lot. Likewise, if you have the perfect ad creative that you might think is a perfect ad creative, but if you chose the wrong goal, these things need to work in tandem with each other. So there's really only two things you really need to worry about now when you're building your ads. So bottom line now is that we can create fewer ad sets. So that means less time. This doesn't need to become like a full-time job for you to run these ads. We want to embrace this concept of expanded audiences. Make sure you always have that checked on. I think it's on by default. If it's not, make sure it's checked on that you're choosing that audience plus for the expanded audiences, and then embracing AI. Right? There's not necessarily a whole lot you need to do with that because Meta's going to do it for you. So just understand that machine learning and AI is happening for you, and that they're looking to place your ads in front of your ideal family. So that's the bottom line. Now, what I want to do right now is I'm going to switch screens here. I'm going to show you what I would do now for running a campaign and how easy it is inside the Ames platform, because this is exactly what it was built for. You don't have to go inside that confusing ads manager anymore. You can go through a guided process where you can go from start to finish with an ad in just a few minutes. Once you have your images and videos you want to use, it's really easy. So here's what I would do. So let me go ahead and change my screen real quick. All right. So now you should be seeing here it says advertise in seconds. So this is inside the Ames platform, right? And if we're going to run an ad campaign, we just need to do a couple things. So step one, remember what I said? What do you want? Do you want traffic? Do you want conversions? Do you want leads? Now leads is if you're using, you ever see those lead forms inside Meta? They don't go to your website. So typically not going to pick that one. You either want traffic or conversions. Let's pick conversions, right? So you have your pixel there. We're going to run this ad for conversions. So that's priority number one. And then you want to put your website in there. So that could be your landing page for your campaign. Let's say we're running an open house campaign. And then, okay, what's your objective? We're going to encourage families to register for an open house. What's the name of it? We'll call it Ames Academy Open House. Provide a description. So think about this as like a prompt. So what is it? Okay, it's an open house. We're inviting families onto campus. So now all you have to do is click generate content. So now what's happening is, one of the challenges, one of the real advantages to digital advertising with Meta is that you can run all sorts of combinations of ads. And that's one of the things you absolutely want to be doing, is running variations of images and video and text. Now, usually that's kind of like a pain in the butt to do, right? How do we come up with 10, 12 different variations? Because you want to test. You never know what's going to be the best combination. And ultimately, you want to pick what's going to win and then pause the things that aren't working. So what has happened while we were just waiting there is, now imagine you had your own images and pictures. This is just using some demo data. We were able to build out 12 different ad combinations using different text descriptions and images and videos. And now all we have to do is we can go to targeting. So who do we want to target? Do we want to target interest? Do we want to target lookalike audiences? Do we want to do retargeting? Here's what I would do if I were you, if you were running a campaign. And you could do this inside the platform. You could do it in your own platform, inside the ads manager. The first thing I would do is create an audience by uploading what it says, a list of customers. What that means is you have existing families right now. You have a database of existing families over the past couple of years, right? So get an Excel file or a CSV file and upload that. You can upload that into this platform. You can upload it into your Meta Ads Manager. And then what you can do is you can build a lookalike audience off of them. So run my ads to anybody who looks like an enrolled family. Now, what I said before still applies. Meta's still going to automatically update your ads as time goes on to get in front of the right people. But I like starting here because this gives you a really good starting point. You're essentially telling Meta, hey, here are my ideal families. Here are my enrolled families. I want you to run ads to other people who look like this audience from a demographic standpoint, maybe location, whatever it might be. And that's your starting point. And then you just let the ads run. Okay, so then we would just let the ads run. And what automatically ends up happening is that if we click in here, it's going to automatically create and do A/B tests with these ads. So if I just click on here, it's automatically going to create and test dozens of combinations so that your budget automatically gets pushed to the ads that are working really well and away from those ads that aren't working as well. So there's AI built into this platform and obviously in combination with what Meta has. So I love this. I'm never running an ad again without using something like this. And again, you can do this with $1 a day, $10 a day, $100 a day, whatever your budget is. You can put in here and then really just hit create ad and you're done, right? So you just need to put in your images, your videos, just have a description there, and you can have a campaign up and running in really the perfect way with different combinations and automatic A/B testing in just a few minutes. Okay, so a couple things. So again, I know we went into kind of like a little bit of a demo here, but you can do this inside your Meta platform. The same concept applies. This just makes your life a whole lot easier to go through this process. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace my screen again. Let me go back to here. So again, bottom line, you can get ads up and running very quickly now. You don't have to do so many different ad sets. And all you really have to do is just get a couple images and videos together to test against each other. Because you never know, is the image of campus going to work better than the image of the kids walking through the hallway? You never know what's going to win. Sometimes you'll be surprised. So you still want to create multiple combinations of ad creative, which I just showed you what we can do inside the platform. But that's it. So that's my takeaway for today. If we already did that. So if you want to, hold on. I thought I had another screen. That's okay. Look, if you want a demo of how to use that platform, you can either message me on whatever social media platform you're looking at right now, LinkedIn or Facebook. You can email me, or if you go to the website and go to getames.co, you can book a demo. I'll walk you through. And then what we can do is set you up with a trial, unlimited trial. When I say unlimited, you can start running your ads right away if you want. Just connect your accounts. No credit card required. Give it a shot for a few weeks. If you like it, we'll talk about continuing it. It's only $97 to use that part of the platform. Now, there's other elements inside the platform, but $97, no additional cost, no additional fees, run your own budget, and plus you have access to a team, support team that can help you answer some of your questions about running that campaign. So with that being said, folks, I want to thank you for hopping on this stream. Hope you found this helpful for running your next ads. Have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. And I hope to see you on the next live stream. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. And I'll see you on the next stream coming soon. Take care, everybody.